Hello everyone, welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to learn the automation of file-based data import process. Yes, the FBDI process. In our previous session, we have seen the entire FBDI process for journal import and executed all the necessary steps manually. Here, we are going to see how we can automate all those manually executed steps using web service. Basically by using ERP Integration Web Service. Now we have to understand why to automate. Yes, for one-time data upload, we just simply fill the data in template and generate the data file in CSV, or sometimes we zip it and upload. Next, submit the job, reconcile the data, and we are done. But at times, there could be requirements to push data in bulk from an on-premise system or Oracle PaaS environment, such as JCS, ICS or OIC, SOACS on daily basis, or as or when data is fed into these systems. And it's quite obvious we can't perform all the steps associated with a FBDI process of preparing file, then uploading the data into UCM content server, submitting the jobs and checking the statuses, reconciling data or rectifying errors manually. There comes the need of automating the entire process, which not only reduces the human effort, but also makes it faster and less error prone too, as there is no manual intervention. This automation can be done using any technology such as Java, SOAP Payloads, PL/SQL, etc. But here we will implement using SOAP Payloads Composite and Java. But before doing all those, we will have to prepare the request messages and invoke all the web service operations in SoapUI first. Then we will roll out the same in Java and the SOA Composite. Therefore, let's set up the agenda for this topic. First, we will invoke the ERP Integration Service from SoapUI as I told. Next, we will do the automation using Java. And the very next session, we will do the automation using Oracle SOA Suite, and we will conclude the topic. Next, let's get into the instance and find the WSDL, basically the ERP Integration Web Service WSDL, and we will then create a SOAP project in SoapUI tool. So let us get into the instance. Click on this navigator icon, go to Developer Connect, search with ERP Integration and click on this search icon, select this. So basically this is the WSDL. Now we have to edit this WSDL in order to invoke it, because this host address refers to some private IP and host. So next I will just take publicly accessible host and put it over here. Next I will take this and put it in the SoapUI tool. So let's create a SOAP project, ERP Integration Service, copy the WSDL and paste it over here, click OK. And as you can see, all the operations are listed over here. Before I prepare the request messages, let us do a revise of the process that are involved in a FBDI process. So these are the steps that are involved in the FBDI process. So download the file import template that we have already performed in our last session. Next, prepare data file using the template. So we will start with this process. All right. So here, if I have to show you, so this is the CSV file that I have created. Okay. So this I have zipped into a zip file that is named glinterface_1.zip. So this is a manual step. Let me just put the mapping here. This is manual step. This can also be automated by creating another program or a SOA composite to prepare the data file or to extract the data from the third-party system and convert it into the CSV that is accepted by the Fusion Cloud. Sometimes that does not match. That means the third party system is giving data in some other format, let's say XML or .dat format, we have to convert those format of files into the .csv file and zip it into a zip file and upload in the Fusion Cloud. Next, uploading the file to Universal Content Management. For that, Oracle has given one operation in ERP Integration Service, and that is called upload file to UCM. So let's write that, upload file to UCM. After that, we will have to load data into interface table by submitting a program. For that, we have another operation that is called submit ESS job request. Submit ESS job request. Here we will have to submit the load interface file for import program. Okay, so let's correct it. It should be M. After that, we have to check the status, whether it is completed successfully or it failed. So to check the process status, we have one operation that is called get ESS job status. So let us click on that and type it, get ESS job status. After successful completion of the load interface file for import program, we have to submit the import journals program. So again, we will have to use submit ESS job request operation to submit import journals program. Again, we will have to just check the status, whether it is successful or not. And if it is successful, that means we can verify, yes, the data is in base table. After that, we can either download the output file of the import journals child program and verify whether the data has been uploaded successfully or not. There is another way to verify the data has successfully been in the base table is to write a BI report on the base table, which is GLJ journals, GLJ journal lines, right? So let's now create the SOAP request messages in SoapUI tool and invoke one by one to perform the entire operation using web service. So first, I will have to click on this upload file to UCM and see the request. So here, as we can see, the content, which is actually a base64 encoded format of the file that we will upload. So let us convert the zip file into a base64 encoded format. To do that, we will have to use some online tool to convert. So here I am using this tool to convert data into a base64 encoded format. So let's select the file, open, and click on the convert source data. So this is the base64 encoded data. Let's copy this here. Next, the file name and other parameters, I will take it from my sample SOAP message. So this is my sample SOAP message. I'll just copy this here and put it here. All right. So as you see, the file name, so the whatever file we are uploading, I have given that name. Content type is zip. Document title would be the same, the document name. Document author, the user that I am using currently for the system. Security group, FA Fusion import export. Document account is fin, general ledger import. Next, I will attach the security policy, which is basic security policy. I will enter the username and password. Next, I will run this to see whether the document is getting uploaded in UCM content server or not. So we will get a document ID upon successful import of the document. So as we can see, the document has been successfully uploaded in Fusion Cloud. So let us note it in this document. So document ID is this. One more thing that we can do, we can verify manually searching here. So let us search with account, fin, general ledger import, and click on search. So the file has been uploaded successfully. Next, I am going to submit the interface loader controller program, basically load interface file for import program. Next, I will go to submit ESS job request. Click on the request here. Let me just replace this with the sample message that I have created. Here it is. Now I will show how to get the job package name and job definition name and the parameters list. Okay, so let's get into the instance. Click here. So click here and navigate to setup and maintenance. Go to this book icon. Click on this search. Search with manage percentage enterprise percentage job and select enterprise scheduler job definitions and job sets for financial supply chain management and related applications. Search with load interface file for import and hit enter. So this is the program. Now select this and click on this edit button here. So as you can see, the path, which is nothing but the job package name, and interface loader controller, which is basically the short name for program load interface file for import. Alright, so I have put that here in these two elements, job package name and job definition name respectively. Next, to get the parameter list, we have to get one of the instance where this program has been run in the scheduled job processes. So let's go here and search whether it is submitted in the recent past or not. So here it is. Now I will select that, expand the parameters. So here I will take this, that argument 1 as 15 and argument 2 as the document ID, argument 3 and 4 is N, argument 5 is this zip file. So in that case, the file was uploaded directly, but in our case, we are uploading the file in UCM, and from there, I will take the file for the scheduled process of load interface file for input. I'm not going to upload the file, or I don't have even any way to pass the file during submission of load interface file for import. Next, so I'm going to put this as null. Okay, so let us add here null, and we will have to update the document ID. This second parameter is basically the document ID. So let's grab the document ID. So this is the document ID. Let's update it here. Now I will add the authorization information, the basic authentication. Okay, and I'm going to enter the credentials of the Fusion instance. Now I will run the request. So basically it should return me the request ID or the process ID of load interface file for import process. So this is the request ID. So I'm going to note it down. Load interface file for import process ID. Next, I'm going to see whether it has submitted or not in the scheduled processes window. So it is submitted and the status is succeeded. Okay, for transfer file and for load file to interface it is completed, and the load interface file for import it is paused because it has submitted the child processes and it is waiting for those processes to get completed. So to check the status, I am going to use another operation that is called get ESS job status. Click on the request and I will pass the same request ID which I got in my previous operation. So I'm going to add the authorization information here. Click on this and select basic, enter the credentials. Click on the run button here, and as we can see, the status is succeeded. So the process has completed successfully. In the very next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit import journals process. To do that, let us create another message for the import journals. So this is the one. Next, I'm going to replace this with the sample message that I have for import journals. Okay, so this is the one. So I'm going to take the body here and put it over here. Here, I'm going to show you how to derive the job package name and job definition name. So let's go to this window and click on cancel. Next, search with import journals and hit enter. So you can find a couple of programs. One is import journals child, another is import journals. Basically, when we submit import journals in the scheduled processes, it internally submits this child program. Now select these import journals and click on this edit button. So this is the path or the job package name, and this is the program name. So the same thing has been entered over here. Now to derive the parameter list, we have to see the instance of this program where it is submitted from the scheduled processes. So let's go to this window and see the recent instances of the same program. So here it is. Now let's go to parameters. So this is the one. Okay, so we have submitted for US primary ledger and US primary dataset. So let's copy argument 1 from here and replace this. Let's copy the ledger ID and replace it over here. Rest of the parameters look similar to the parameters that is displayed over here. I will add the authorization here, add new authorization, basic, and I'm going to enter the credentials of the instance to submit the program. So let's submit by clicking on this run button. So it has submitted the process. So this is the process ID of the import journals process. So let us note it over here. Import journals, and this is the process ID. Let us check the status for this process also. So get ESS job status, click on new request, request 2, and pass the request ID. So let's grab it and put it here, add the auth information, add credentials, click on the go button to check the status. As we can see, it is succeeded. Alright, so now next what we can do is we can download the output of the child request, basically import journals child request, to see whether the data has been successfully imported in the base table or not. Then the question would be, how do we get to know the child process ID for import journals? So before that, we have to analyze the log of import journals process. To get the log, we have one operation that is called download ESS job execution details. Here we have to pass the job ID or the process ID for import journals, and let's download the log file. Click on the auth information, add basic authorization, click OK, fin_impl, and the password. So click on the run button. So we have received the response with an attachment. So click on this. So it looks ugly, but we have to save it as a zip file. So let's say log.zip. Okay, close this. I have opened the zip file that I have downloaded recently, and this is the log file for the import journals process, and we can see that sub request which is submitted for import journals child. So let us verify in the schedule processes window whether this is the one for import journals child or not. So here it is. This is the way we can get the log file of the import journals, and then we can verify the import journals child programs process ID. Next, we will download the output file of import journals child process, and we will verify whether the data has been successfully created in the base table or not. To do that, we will use the same operation, but this time we are going to download the out file. Other way, we can use operation that is called download export output request, and here we have to give the request ID and add the basic auth information. Enter the credentials. And click on the run button here to get the output downloaded of the import journals child process. So here, as we can see, we have received the response with an attachment. Let's click on this, and as usual it looks ugly. I will save this as a zip. So I'm going to write as output.zip. Okay, output of import journals.zip. Save, close this. As you can see, I have downloaded the output file, which is a text file. If I have to read this, I can see that number of lines created along with the status as success. Alright, so this is the entire process of automating the ABDI process. In the next videos, we are going to implement the same thing using Java and Oracle Source Suite. Thank you and bye-bye.